Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all can hear me. I've had to turn my video off because my internet is terrible. Okay, I muted myself. What's this? It's a light. Okay. So, oh, okay, cool. So this live is all about how to be feminine in a masculine world. Now, when we think about femininity, usually we think about just being submissive, soft, kind, nurturing, which are all parts of being feminine. But if you feel like you can't embrace your femininity because you're working in a corporate job, you're a single mother, you have to go to work. If you can hear my doors banging, it's really windy here right now. You can hear my dogs, they're barking at the wind as well. So please ignore them. But if you're feeling like you can't be feminine because you work a corporate job, or you are a single mother, or you just maybe you have to work because it's just not enough to pay the bills, then you may be in your masculine energy. Now, with femininity, there's three elements of feminine energy that we need to understand before we can embrace it. The first part is play. Now, play is like an energy that we create as a little girl. When you think of a little girl, she's always in her imagination. Have tea parties, playing with your dolls, doing your hair, being really creative. That's play. And what play does, it creates pleasure. Now, for a lot of us, pleasure means, we may think it means sex or intimacy or orgasms. It doesn't mean that. Pleasure just means a feeling of fulfillment. So when you're playing, you're meant to feel fulfilled, which is what children feel. When they're younger and you play with your children, they feel really fulfilled. When you feel that fulfillment, then you're able to create, which is the third energy of feminine energy. When you're able to create from a place of fulfillment, guess what happens? You stay in flow, which is the fourth part of the feminine energy. And when you're in flow, you're like the water. You flow, nothing triggers you, nothing bothers you, nothing gets in your way. Imagine the water is breaking through everything. Water is so destructive when you think about it. You can wipe out a whole nation with a tsunami. That's how water is. Water it absorbs, it doesn't contract, right? So that's the flow you need to be in order to break through. The final stage of the feminine energy is a breakthrough. And when you're stuck in your masculine energy, you may find yourself finding it difficult to play, be in pleasure, be creative, be in flow, and break through. Instead, what happens is you are not playing, but you're doing the opposite of that. You are constricted, you are stagnant, right? And when you're constricted, you don't find pleasure. You can't find the pleasure in anything. You find the opposite, which is sadness and depression. And when you're sad and depressed, that doesn't create anything, that blocks you. You get into this blocked energy. You feel blocked rather than feeling in flow. And when you're blocked, you can't flow, you remain stagnant. And then when you're stagnant, guess what happens? You don't break through, but you break down. So this is what's happening with a lot of women right now, is that when you're in your masculine energy, you're feeling like you're breaking down all the time instead of breaking through. The feminine force is a breakthrough, it's not a breakdown, right? So I want you to look at aspects of feminine energy. There's so many aspects of feminine energy. There's different parts of feminine energy that make up the whole energy within itself. So it's nurturing, it's creative, it's pleasure, it's playfulness, it's flow, it's sensuality, it's loving, it's compassionate. Now, this is what I want you to do. Instead of trying to figure out how to be feminine, I want you to tap into those energies. So let's, for example, nurturing. When we think about nurturing, a lot of us think about being a mother, feeding children, looking after kids. What can you do in your life that's going to help evoke that nurturing spirit? It could be gardening, it could be taking care of plants, it could be nurturing your body and going for Pilates, it could be going for a walk. What other thing can you do that's going to help you cultivate that nurturing spirit, that nurturing essence that you have within you, right? So when you think about the word nurturing, is looking after something from a place of love, right? So what could you do in your life right now that's going to help you cultivate that? And not something that's too much or too scary, too burdening, but something that you would really enjoy. And it could just be like a 5-minute walk in your garden, nurturing your body, nurturing your energy, nurturing your mind, reading a book. Instead of scrolling on your phone as soon as you wake up, nurturing your mind and speaking affirmations to yourself, right? Then you could think about another element of feminine energy, which is love. Now, a lot of us think, okay, if I need to love a man, I need to be in love with someone for me to feel loved. What could you do in your life that's going to evoke that love from you? What could you do? Could it be painting, dressing up, fashion, makeup? What could you do that's going to help you express that loving energy that you have? Like, I want you to step into that a little bit, right? And it doesn't have to be burdening. It's just something that you love. If you think about creativity, what can you create? So again, when it comes to creativity, a lot of us think I have to create a masterpiece and art. No, you could just create a really nice bracelet. You could create an outfit. You could create a hairstyle, something that's really minimal. For you to be in your feminine, it has to be really minimal. That's going to help you be consistent with it over time, right? So I want you to think about the elements of feminine energy and what you can do to tap into them. This is really this is what's really stopping you from being feminine in a masculine world. Let's say, for example, you're in a corporate job, and your boss says to you, can you stay past your work hours? Now, the old you may have said that, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, I'll do that, because you want to please your boss, or you just want to make sure you keep your job. But now you have to be in your feminine energy and ask yourself, is this really going to nurture my spirit? Is this going to help me create? Is this going to help me love my life more? If it's not, then you need to say no. You need to set a boundary. You need to put yourself first. That's another element of nurturing, loving, feminine spirit, feminine energy. If you're a single mother and you want some time away from your kids, hire a babysitter. Be okay with hiring someone. That's a form of love. Loving yourself, putting yourself first. Say, you know what, I'm going to hire a babysitter for 1 hour so that I can go and do something for myself, so I can go and create something, so I can unwind, so I can show love to myself. Remember, there's always a way for you to figure things out. You're not stuck in this masculine world. You have the space and you have the capability to expand in your feminine energy the more you cultivate these very small practices. It doesn't have to be huge. I'll give you my example. When I was a single mother and I was working, what I would do is I would give myself an hour. I would hire a babysitter, even if I didn't feel like I had the money. It was like, what, maybe $15 for 1 hour, and I would just go to the nearest cafe and sit there. And sometimes I would just sit there and just drink coffee and not really do much, just, watch people go by, soak in the energy. I wouldn't distract myself with my phone. I would just be looking at people, soaking the energy, just being okay with being in the present moment, and then go home. And just that 1 hour made me feel like I gave time to myself. I would treat myself with hot chocolate. I always saw spending money on myself as a treat, as something I deserve and I'm worthy of, whether or not I worked for it or whether or not I have money for it. I believe that my feminine essence was so abundant that when I spend this money, it's going to come back to me. That's how I cultivated this feminine spirit within me, this feminine energy. When I say spirit, I mean the essence, the energy of it, the feeling of it. When I cultivated that within me, way back when I was like 7-8 years ago when I was single, and I kept in the mindset that I'm a woman, it's going to come back to me. It's going to multiply. I'm going to get whatever I want. The more I believe in myself and the more I put myself first. And this is what feminine energy really is about, putting yourself first. And I know this is scary for a lot of us women. When we think about putting ourselves first, we think about that other people are going to be deprived. And this is how you know you're very feminine. This is a very subtle thing that you're doing, where you know your power, but you're giving it away. In your mind, you're thinking like, if I just spend 10 minutes with myself, everyone's going to be deprived. Guess what? Subconsciously, you know that you are a powerful force. You have a lot of energy to give. You just know it. But you're putting yourself last because you're telling yourself that this is how it's meant to be, or it's how you've been programmed. And you can easily dismantle that program by telling yourself just 10 minutes is going to make me the better person around these people that I love, because they deserve to take from my overflow rather than bleed me dry. And when we live in a masculine world, guess what the program we get that we hear all the time? Work hard, hustle hard, bleed yourself dry, work to work till the bone, blood, sweat, and tears. That is not a feminine ideal. It's not the space for the feminine to multiply and feel abundant in. The feminine energy does not feel abundant in surviving. You can't survive and be in your feminine. It doesn't work that way. So you have to create or cultivate small practices. And I want to keep emphasizing it's very small. A lot of us think in our minds, oh, feminine energy, I have to go big and get a massage and get a spa and do my hair and, you know, spend lavishly on myself. No, that's not feminine energy. Feminine energy literally is putting yourself first, determining and identifying that you matter just as much as the people you put above you, like your boss, your manager, your kids, your husband, your family, your friends. You matter just as much as them. Subconsciously, you know that too, but you just don't know how to validate yourself. So when you cultivate these small practices, you end up validating yourself, giving yourself what you need, which is what the feminine energy needs. It needs to know that it's loved. You need to know that you're loved. The only way you can know that you're loved is if you're giving it to yourself. No one can ever fulfill your needs. No one can ever do that for you other than yourself. So these very small practices, and I want you to do this as homework. Like, one thing I want you to take away from this life is I'm going to give myself 10 minutes, just 10 minutes where I'm not on my phone, where I'm doing something for myself. It could be 10 minutes of coloring, 10 minutes of gardening, 10 minutes of doing my hair, 10 minutes of freshening up, 10 minutes of putting on some lipstick, 10 minutes of admiring myself in the mirror, 10 minutes of going for a drive without anyone. Or if you want to hire a babysitter, 1 hour. Going to give myself 1 hour to go to the cafe, have a meal in peace, not rushing it, not eating the leftovers. I'm going to put myself first. And then you're going to find ways where you can cultivate the feminine energy. So the different types of energies is nurturing, compassion, love, caring, creativity. A lot of us think that, oh, we have to go fully in like nurturing. The number thing that comes to your mind is probably being a mom. If you're not a mom, but you're a corporate woman, nurturing doesn't have to mean that you go and care for someone. Nurturing means you care for yourself. What can you do that's going to nurture yourself? Could be gardening, could be painting, could be walking barefoot in the ground. It could be doing some Pilates, could be going for a walk for 10 minutes. That's all you have to do to embrace your feminine energy. Is very simple. Okay. So thank you so much for joining my live. Please let me know in the comments what came up for you, what resonated with you, and how the homework goes for you. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.